Going to actually today look at tapping. So we touched briefly on it last time. I said we're going to be doing some of that, and we'll get to that in the next part of our time together today. We'll do a little practicing, and I have a volunteer, and that's Terry, who's come out today, and she's going to work with me so that you can see how the tapping works, either when you're working with someone or yourself. And we'll get to that very soon. Now, I'm not sure how it will work, but I would say probably best as we're going along, take some notes, write down any questions that you may have. If you notice something that you know will work for you, just make a note. I believe whatever time's left over, we'll try and have some Q&A towards the end of our session today. And certainly, if you have questions going on afterwards, I know Wingsy's always happy to take your questions, and I'd be happy to answer after as well. So welcome, everybody. Let's find out about vibrant living through mindfulness and a little bit of tapping. So here it comes. We're going to do this. Okay. All right. It's coming, I promise. All right. Okay, so the bridge and beyond. As I mentioned, we talked about the bridge, and let's take a look. Tapping to wellness. So honestly, intention is really what we need to hold. Right now, with our festive season comes extra stress. We've got COVID going on, all kinds of things. So our goal today, our intention for today, is to delve back into how we can be grounded and finding our best vibrant lives. And we know there are different mindful techniques and practices that can get us to that. But today we're going to look at the one, which is the tapping. We're going to talk about what tapping is. We're going to do a tapping exercise together. And you can be doing one on your own. And then we'll do a quick summary and have a Q&A together. So what we looked at last time is what is vibrant living. And the truth is, when we are in caregiver mode, we often get numb and we actually forget what it felt like to be our most vibrant selves. And that can happen to anybody, no matter what, right? What we're up to. And then we talk about what is mindfulness, you know, the common ideas of that. So it's a practice of paying attention. It's being present in the moment, being intentional without judgment, focusing on your desired outcome, seeing what you don't want and taking steps to manifest what you do want. Noticing and observing your thoughts, emotions, senses, and feelings, and taking action to bring about a desired outcome. I know that's a loaded sentence, but it's probably the most important, and it's a big part of that bridge that we were talking about. So as we mentioned last time, we looked at different mindfulness activities that are common. We hear people saying, this is what I do to to kind of bring my focus back in, because distraction and busyness and fatigue can kick in. So we talked about conscious breathing, and we talked about noticing our body, the feelings that we're having, our emotions, and our thoughts. We talked about doing meditation, choosing to eat mindfully, doing a scan of our body, just sitting or lying down, listening. Yoga, people often associate yoga to a mindfulness practice. And some people use prayer or positive affirmations, mantras, just to help themselves get focused. So we know many things can be done mindfully. And we know that all of us are different. So people need to pick and choose what feels right for them. So where some people might love yoga, I have to confess, the first time I went to a yoga class umpteen years ago, I got the giggles. To me, it was so weird, and I'd never been to anything like it. And I literally got the giggles. And you know, that's normal when we try. Oh, what have I done? Okay, just a sec. We're going to bring that back up. Here we go. Sorry. So it's picking and choosing what feels right to you. Now, here we go, talking about what keeps us from being mindful. Having an awareness of what's keeping us from taking care of ourselves or living what feels better or healthier, more positive, brighter. Well, it comes down often to excessive thinking, rampant stuck thought patterns. I doubt if I'm the only one here today that can say I've experienced that. I think in different ways and at different times, we all have times when we're more stressed, different things are worrying us, and we get our little heads going. Um, Sometimes they call it catastrophizing, where one thing can happen and suddenly we start imagining it's going to be the end of the world. And if we weren't on this Zoom call, I'd say put your hand up if you know what I'm talking about, because I would imagine it's most of us have either experienced it or certainly know that people in our lives are experiencing it. And the second common thing that can keep us from taking care of ourselves and being mindful is when we fall into a people-pleasing mode. So that's when we react to circumstances, we're doing for other people. And I tell you, that becomes, it's a lovely service. It's where kindness and compassion can have action in our world. But it also, like anything else, when done in excess, it can actually take over and drain us completely. And let's face it, caregivers can suffer from that more than a lot of people, because your heart's there, it's in the right place. You want to really support the people in your lives who need support. And we forget that in doing that, when we forget about ourselves, we lose our own steam and our own ability. So this is really important. So yeah, we talked about the empty cup. If our cup is empty, how are we going to serve and replace? So we know we need to replace and get that cup full of good stuff. And then we all know the oxygen mask. We looked at that too. But if you don't have it on yourself, you're going to run out of breath and you're going to faint, expire. And how are you going to be there to be your best self for the other people around you? So then we talked about, how do we bridge from these old habits where we're distracted and we're just on a robotic computer mode. So it's like That's when the noticing comes in. And how do we bridge? Well, we have to learn to build this trust for ourselves. Only we know what is right for us. But when we lose touch with our intuition and our senses and noticing, because we start ignoring our little body telling us, hey, the knees hurt, I'm tired, but we don't have time to think about that. But honestly, we can't afford to not think about it. We've got to start trusting those pieces. And trust is a key step in that. Intentions, noticing to intention setting. So I'm going to keep going a little bit here. I know that we only have an hour and we kind of want to cover a fair amount here. But so practicing mindful living one step at a time. And one of the practices is tapping. So today when we talk about that, I know it isn't for everyone, but it has helped a lot of people who have tried it out. So it's one method, one thing that we're going to talk about today. And just before we dive into that, last time when we talked about the bridge, and these were the key steps. The first is noticing. So that's as soon as our body, our stress levels, our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts are starting to tell us something that we need. And fatigue's probably the most common one, but body pain can also be in different places. So when those things are starting to come to us, we need to pay attention. So noticing, if we aren't noticing, it's very difficult to jump into mindfulness practices and hope to get the benefits from it. The foundation and the bridge is in this piece here. Number one, noticing, having awareness, acknowledging, and then setting an intention to do something about it. Now, I skipped trust there. And the reason why I skipped it is because we know that as a caregiver or any human being who is busy, stressed, in some trauma, got too much going on, all of that, we tend to not even notice that we're not trusting. So I put it there in purple because it's something that we need to learn to be aware of and learn to develop. A lot of us forget that we even do trust ourselves in other pieces. And the truth is, getting up and getting out of bed is trusting that we're going to get into this day. We aren't thinking of it as trust, but as we start to notice that we do trust in some ways, it helps us, gives us permission to bring that into other things that are a little more challenging, like self-care. So noticing, trusting, and stepping into intentions for action. And the fourth one is action, which is the practices. We talked about breath and imagining and positive affirmations last time. I can't tell you enough how important those little pieces are. You know, we can go for weeks sometimes when life is just tickety boo, everything's going smoothly. But then a wave will come and it can be a variety of things. It can be a loss, it can be a stress from different things, something going wrong at home, in our relationships. At any of those times, it's really helpful to fall back on some of these simple practices that can help us in a moment, and we can go to them anytime during a day. And they're also helpful for what we call grounding. So it can ground us, it can calm us, it can help us regroup and get back on track. So those are actions. And like I said, today we're talking about a different action. Um, so that's the bridge. Those are the pieces that are in our foundation. If we're finding that a mindfulness practice or a goal that we set for ourselves to take care of ourselves is not working, it's derailing, I can't do it, I've tried, it's not working, go back to this place and look at it honestly and take some time with your journal and yourself. And you will find that it's in this foundational area that we're really off track, and we need to regroup and set our intentions that fit us where we are, that meet us in the moment. And from there, we can get our footing again. And you know what? We're not alone. We're all human. And time again, when I meet people in the seniors' homes that I work or other clients, um, what I find, people think they're the only one. I'm the only one. I'm incapable. I'm not doing a good job. Uh, I can't do that. I don't deserve it. Just these thoughts, these beliefs, and we call them mistaken beliefs. They are not true, and many other people have them. And it's really important for us to remember that too. We're all human. We all have different times that we're going through things, and there is like a spectrum. Uh, some do manage to get through life with less of it. There's a little more stability than others. It is what it is, but what I love is things like even the hub we're in right now today. You know, Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives has people's hearts and conditions really at a priority. And when we are in a bit of a challenge, this is such a beautiful resource to be able to check in and find different things that can meet our needs. Anyways, we're going to move along. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about tapping. I first came to tapping in the program I took, a healing practitioner through Langara. And I became certified in a tapping methodology and really found for myself, to be honest with you, my human experience. I went through a divorce period that was probably the most challenging. And I found for me, tapping was one of the things that really, really supported me. And I started to use it more with clients and sharing it with people, and found that others found it quite calming as well. So if you look tapping up online, or if you're working with a counselor, or if you've maybe come across emotional freedom technique. It's possibly the most common one that you hear about. So EFT is comes from emotional freedom technique, and it is used more and more internationally, particularly by counselors or psychiatrists teaching their clients to use it. And it's used from little children right up, so all ages can uh, use EFT. Um, what I would say is, if you get online and you're looking at different things, because there are some good pieces out there, if you decide that you want to take it on as a big practice for yourself, and you are dealing with some extreme physical challenges or emotional, I would say share it with your doctor or your counselor. Some of them will know about it and some of them won't. But just like any modality or practice that we take on, you do need to be careful and be mindful and make sure that it is a good fit for you. Um, and that you stay safe and have someone to talk to when things seem even more stressful and overwhelming. Anyways, EFT, one form of tapping. And just a sec here. So the other one that I want to talk to you about is called WHEE, and it is WHEE, and that's the one I'm going to talk to you most about. So it's coming. I've got a slide for that coming up. Before you do any tapping, the first thing I recommend is that you do some grounding. For grounding, it's really up to an individual how you like to ground. And I'll share with you what I've learned from other people, because different personalities choose different things. And grounding is a word that is out there. People talk about, I got to get grounded, go get grounded. And, you know, the truth is some of us really haven't done much reading or connecting with this term itself. So I will just share that really grounding is the process of finding your calm and pulling and gathering your thoughts and just finding your presence. So I find it helpful, and I notice for myself when my work is super busy, or when, oh, I've got 3 young adults in my house living with me. Hey, relationships can kind of go awry. That's when I will pull myself away and calm myself before I react or, you know, really get into something without taking the time to think it through. So grounding is taking the time to find your calm, think something through, so that 1, you're taking care of yourself, and 2, you can respond to a situation from a better place. Hey, we've all had our moments of reacting and maybe not looking our best in a certain situation, but as far as grounding techniques go, in our last session, we did a few exercises like brain balancing and the crisscross crawl. But for today, I would just say things that people share that are quick and easy. We saw earlier on the slide, conscious breathing, positive affirmations, which you can write yourself. It's a statement that is what you're aiming for, that's positive. For today, I think we're just going to do a little combination. Why don't you join me? Let's get grounded together. So I just want you to find your feet flat on the ground if you can. I'm assuming people aren't lying down, but if you are, just uncross any legs or arms. So keep yourself, keep yourself with your feet flat on the ground and your hands just on your thighs. So nothing is crossed. And I'm just going to do a little breath meditation. So I invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. Just take a nice breath in, slow, count to 5. And slowly breathe out, counting to 5. And another one. And exhale. Allow yourself to just focus on your breath and counting your breath. If you find any thought is coming to you while we are just counting our breath, Just notice it and allow it to go sit on the shelf at the side for now and come back to your count and your breath. Sometimes it helps when your breath is audible. If that feels good to you, allow yourself to breathe with some noise to it. So just imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in light, happy, positive energy. And you're breathing out all the worry and stress and anything that might be bothering you today. Breathing in, positive, light, bright, happy. Memories, feelings, just allow the energy and the feeling of goodness as you breathe in. And imagine it going through your body to your heart and out from your heart down to all parts, the tips of your fingers, the tips of your toes, good stuff coming in and letting go of stress and worry. Intentionally allow this breath exercise to do that for you. Imagine it is calming you, bringing you calm, and anything that is worrisome is going off to the shelf on the side. Imagine that you're about to learn about a mindfulness practice that some people use and find helpful. And just be open to what might be there for you. Maybe there is something. Maybe it's just learning to breathe and calm yourself, which we can do at any time of the day. We can walk into a washroom and breathe and calm ourselves. We can go to our backyard and find a spot quietly with ourselves. So, take one more good breath in, allowing that fresh, light, positive energy to come into your whole body and being. Roll your shoulders back, roll your shoulders, wiggle your toes and your fingers, and open your eyes. And allow yourself to come back to our space and acknowledge that we've just kind of integrated a few different ways of finding grounding for ourselves. This is foundational when we are in stress or finding it difficult to get focused, when we're dealing with pain physically, emotionally, spiritually, anyway. So, finding grounding techniques that fit for you are really helpful and important. So, now we're going to come back together and just going to invite Terry to get ready. I am going to stop sharing this screen. Hey, everybody, I hope I didn't put you to sleep. All right. So now we're going to talk about what came out of EMDR EMDR and EFT. So I don't know if any of you have heard of EMDR, but some people use it, some psychiatrists and some counselors, doctors may use it. It is a technique that uh, helps people reprogram from a certain trauma or other things. So it's used for different methods. So people can see me? Yeah. All right. So what happened? EFT came into our world and a lot of different people used it, but a doctor who was working at that time primarily with children started using EMDR and EFT, but he found he didn't have enough time. So he ended up developing a hybrid method of tapping with EMDR, which helps balance the left and right side of the brain while using the thoughts to reprogram our condition. So there's a lot of scientific work behind it, and we're not going into that today. We're just a group of people who want to learn and share and care for ourselves and people in our lives. So I really, for this holiday season, am hoping in this last stretch that we have today to show you a simple tapping technique so you can practice it and see if it can help you when you find yourself in some stressful moments over this holiday season. So it works on the premise of noticing. So it starts with you noticing something that is causing you discomfort. And it might be physical pain, it might be emotional stress, it could be a variety of things. It could be anxiety and that rampant thinking that you're having trouble calming down. For the purpose of today, Terry and I are going to do an exercise. I'll leave it up to you if you want to do something there in your own home while we're doing this, but maybe just for today, I'll do a tapping session with Terry and you can maybe take some notes. And I recommend that when you're taking those notes, it's not just about the technique that we're sharing, but notice what comes up for you, for yourself. So, for example, something might be, a thought might come to you or a sensation in your body that's saying, hey, I should take care of that. I wonder if I could tap on that. Please journal that note. Write that down on the paper that you've got there, because after today's time together, that's the invitation for you to delve into a little mini practice for yourself, and really important for you to notice what comes up for you in that way too. All right. So, okay. So maybe if Wingsy wouldn't mind pinning Terry and I on the screen, or one of us, if that works, just so people can see us a little closer and where our hands are. So Terry, if you could, does it fit for you to have your camera? We don't need to see all of you. Yep, that's good. So I'll tell you, the emotional freedom technique works on the basis of the meridians, which are more commonly known in Chinese medicine. But with the we tapping that we're doing, WHEE, we are just going to tap on our thighs. So you can see where Terry's hands are placed on her thighs. So her feet are flat on the ground. She's sitting up straight and she's got her hands on her legs. Okay. So Terry has given us permission, and we're going to have a dialogue with her. And for you, anybody who's listening today, I would say this. You might be working with someone else, but you might also be working with yourself. So spending time with yourself. So what I'm asking her, that's what you can ask yourself. And it's not weird. A lot of people tap on their own. So, all right. So we can see Terry's hands. I'm going to ask Terry before we begin. Terry, can you tell us and share with us right now something that is causing you some stress and discomfort? And as I say that, Terry, as I mentioned, gave us permission. She's happy to share with us today. Um, and of course, as a group here working together, anything that we share is within our group. And if Wingsy chooses to post any of this at a later time, it's because we've given permission. So we're prepared for that. I just want you to know that we're being mindful about people's safety and how they are truly feeling. So Terry, can you please share with us something in your life right now that's causing you some discomfort?
Sure. So I'm a caregiver for my husband who has quite a few different health issues. And over the season of Christmas, it's especially hard to know or for me anyway, decide what I should do and what I shouldn't do outside of the home because even though there's COVID, there's still things that I would like to do. It could be shopping a little bit for presents, or it could be, um, um, anything festive, attending an outdoor carol concert or something like that. And as a caregiver, for me, I struggle with how much do I allow myself my own fun and leaving my husband at home because he's not able to do those things. So for me, that's a huge, huge worry. I don't want to make him feel bad. I don't want to, you know, exclude him, but I need to do some things for myself
Right.
as well. And so that's a real struggle for me.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Um, so I think I hear you mentioning a few things there. One of them is maybe the worry of the pandemic, and you don't want to expose your husband or yourself. Um, Two, I got that, as we talked about earlier, that people pleasing piece where you really love and care for your husband, and you want to be giving, but you're also noticing, uh, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what I hear you saying is that you also know you have to take care of yourself and fill your own cup.
Yes, absolutely.
But it brings you feelings of guilt,
Yes.
like you're feeling bad about that. So, out of those things that you've shared with us, which one do you think is is truly, if you go into your heart and allow yourself to really think about it, what aspect of that causes you the most stress and discomfort?
So I think for me, it is leaving him out of things that he can't do um, and that I want to do. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's that.
all right.
Yeah,
So, can I ask you, Terry, because it's a big part of this, how does that actually make you feel? Where do you feel that, or how do you feel? Could you describe the feeling that you get when you think of that, consider it?
yeah. It makes me feel um, sort of stuck and maybe paralyzed, and so then I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'd rather I'd rather be proactive and have something positive to look forward to without feeling
Okay.
guilt.
All right.
I
So,
feel physically I'm not able to make a decision, then I just freeze.
all right. So the stuckdom and the paralysis don't feel good at all. It doesn't
Right.
feel good, I'm assuming, for you to feel stuck and paralyzed. Those are the feelings that come up for you. I want you to stay in noticing that feeling of stuckdom and paralysis. And can you share with us on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense would you say that feeling is right in this moment?
Well, it's pretty intense. I would say probably about a 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, are you comfortable with repeating some words after me and going through a tapping process with this particular feeling?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So, the first step is to notice the feeling, acknowledge it, and really peel it back so you know what it truly is. And often there can be more than one, but this is your focus feeling. So I want you to notice that feeling of being stuck and not being able to move and the discomfort of that. And now I want you with your hands, doesn't matter which one you start with, but I want you to start tapping. So you can keep the ball of your hand on your leg and just tap your fingers up and down. And you're going to alternate. So go right, left, right, left, right, left. And relax while you're doing it. It can be with, like I said, the bottom of your hand towards your wrist could be resting, so you don't actually have to lift your whole, there you go. So up and down. So Terry, noticing that feeling, I want you to repeat after me. Even though when I think of doing things for myself and taking care of myself and going out to do things that I want to do, I feel stuck and paralyzed.
You want me to repeat that now?
Even though
Even though
when I think of doing things for myself
when I think of doing things for myself
and taking care of myself,
and taking care of myself,
I feel stuck and paralyzed,
I feel stuck and paralyzed,
and it feels uncomfortable,
and it feels uncomfortable.
and I don't like the feeling.
I don't like that feeling.
I still love and accept myself
I still love and accept myself
wholly and completely,
wholly and completely.
and I know I am loved and accepted.
And I know I am loved and accepted.
And things are turning out better than I can imagine.
And things are turning out better than I can imagine.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
And stop tapping and take a big breath in and a big breath out. How are you feeling at this moment?
Well, I definitely feel more relaxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right. If you could put a number on that, if you're looking and thinking of that feeling of feeling stuck and not being able to move, is it still at the same number? Or do you feel like when you think about it, is it a little bit less?
Yeah, it is a little bit less. Um, yeah, I think it's gone down to about a 7.5.
Okay. So you've had a bit of a shift.
Yeah.
Okay, Terry. Terry, we're going to go back and we're going to do it again. So feet are still flat on the ground. Just relax in your chair. You're grounded. Sometimes it helps to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. Now I want you to start just gently tapping again. And you can repeat after me. Even though
Even though
when I think of doing things for myself
when I think of doing things for myself
and taking care of myself,
and taking care of myself,
I feel stuck and paralyzed,
I feel stuck and paralyzed,
and it doesn't feel comfortable.
and it doesn't feel comfortable.
I don't like the feeling.
I don't like the feeling.
But
But
I still love and accept myself wholly and completely and unconditionally.
I still love myself wholly and completely and unconditionally.
And I am loved and accepted wholly, completely, and unconditionally.
And I am loved and accepted wholly, completely, and unconditionally.
Take a big breath in and a nice breath out and stop tapping.
That really works.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel even calmer, and I just feel more, I guess, more able to think about a possibility of another way of being.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. The truth is, some people find almost immediate relief from certain things that they're dealing with, and others, it takes more time. It can depend on the issue that you're using or that you're trying to work on. Um, what I want to say for everyone who's participating today, um, one piece here when you're tapping and really the affirmation. So you're going to start with the feeling that is bothersome to you or what you're experiencing that is difficult. So it could be physical pain, it could be a thought process, it could be a circumstance like Terry's. Um, Whatever you're choosing to look at, you're going to have the best results if you really take time to peel back to the true feeling that's underneath it all. So that's one piece that's really important. Another piece that is used is weighing the intensity. So you're going to track that, and I use a journal. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling about this particular thing at the time? That's the second step. Now, the third step is when you actually step into the tapping, there's two parts. The first part starts with even though I feel a certain way, and allow yourself to speak and feel that feeling. So with Terry, we said, even though I feel stuck and paralyzed and it's uncomfortable, you can elaborate on that if you are working at home with yourself or if you're with someone else. And sometimes if you have a good friend, you can do these things with someone you know. But um, just allow yourself to recognize that feeling Notice it within yourself. And the second part is bringing the positive side to it. And that is, so even though I feel this way, I still love and accept myself wholly, completely, and unconditionally. Those positive thoughts and affirmations have been scientifically proven to change our physiology as well, our biology. And the next piece to it, depending on who I'm I'm with, is really personal. So some people will say, I love and accept myself wholly, completely, and unconditionally. And the next part to the positive piece is choosing what fits for you. So it might be, and God loves and accepts me wholly, completely, and unconditionally. Um, so depending on your own belief system, your own religion, um, and it works for anybody, you pick what your belief system is. Thank you, Terry. Um, so it might be God, it might be the universe, it might be what we did with Terry, which was, and I am loved and accepted wholly and completely. It, I believe, works with more power when you attach it to the um, the uh, the religious faith to which you belong, your belief system. So it might be God. It might just be, it might be your family if you have that kind of feeling with your family. But for some people, that can be a trigger, and that might be where your stress is coming from. So it's choose what fits for you. If it's God, it might just, that's what you would say. And I still love myself wholly, completely, and unconditionally. And God loves and accepts me wholly, completely, and unconditionally. And when you're finished those two parts of the second piece, the positive affirmations, you breathe in a big breath and you let it go. And as you let it go, stop your tapping and just allow yourself to sit with it. What we notice is the intensity of what you're working with will decrease each time you do it. And another little tip that I have, because I think we're pretty close to 11 now, is just to say, sometimes the words that we choose can impact it. So take some time to try different feelings, or to look at the situation and try to word it differently if you find that the intensity isn't changing. But this very simple exercise from a tapping can actually bring relief. And if you do any other research on either of these, you will find a lot of people have found relief from it. That being said, just like anything else, some people might find it doesn't work for them. But I know that some children have had a lot of success with it, right up to adults and seniors. And so I encourage you to try it out and see how it works for you in calming you this season. Because hey, we all deserve a Merry Christmas with some calm, loving moments, and with some self-care. So I hope that anyone on this call or anyone who sees this can maybe start a practice that actually brings you some relief and leads you to your more vibrant life.